recording.
Woo!
What's up, everybody? Today, we're going to be doing a Fortnite Let's Play. We're going to be playing Season 11 Thanos car.
Where are we dropping, dude? Are we dropping at Travis Scott Burger?
we're dropping at Fortnite Burger Town, dude.
Dropping at Fortnite Burger, okay. Good to know.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Adam.
And today, we're going to be talking about... What are we going to be talking about?
Well, today we're going to be talking about why Palimpsest is the best.
Palimpsest.
Palimpsest is the best.
Palimpsest.
No, it's Palimpsest. There's S-E-S-T.
Holy shit, I've been pronouncing this wrong all
Palimpsest by Protest the Hero. Their album
is the best album of 2020,
this year,
hands down.
We're going to be discussing why it's the best, worst, and everything in between album of this year. Because there's actually a surprising amount to talk about that we have to discuss. But before that, I guess we're going to talk about what we listened to this week.
Feels like my nose is bleeding right now. Not very fun.
I'm so sorry for that.
It's because we're talking about such fire music.
No, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump to one that is both on our list, and that is the album from. I don't know.
Adam, what list? What list, huh?
Our last FMs. Okay.
What we've been listening to. You got to introduce the segment.
I did introduce this. You were complaining about your nose. All right. Melee by Dogleg. Midwest emo from 2020 that is pretty good.
I don't think this is Midwest emo.
What do you mean it's not Midwest emo, dude?
Look, it has Midwest emo influence, dude. I'd call this like, I don't know, like emo influenced post-hardcore.
I think the only reason you think it's post-hardcore is because like he screams like post-hardcore.
Well, it's a lot faster. And to me, like, Midwest emo is like conjures a very specific vibe.
I got that vibe from this album, though.
Oh, well, I mean, this album's definitely an emo album, but I don't think it's Midwest emo. All right, let's Google it. The band.
I don't listen to emo, but you know what? This album, it's pretty good. I'm not probably going to put it on my best of list of the year by any means, but it's definitely one to talk about.
Ooh, look. Melee is the debut studio album by American post-hardcore band Dogleg.
Well, you know what? Okay, I don't know what to tell you. All right, Clipping is on our best of year list. I don't want to hear it. Anyway,
yeah, no, this album slaps. I was reading through Stereogum's new artists to look out for list this year because I always like to look at those things for any metal bands because they just don't exist. And they had quite a few adjacent heavier bands, and Dogleg are one of them. They play like a very melodic style of post-hardcore with a ton of emo influence. It's really fast, it's really energetic, it's really upbeat, and it's very angsty, and it's just executed really, really well. Like, you can tell the band's super young. The album's named after Smash Bros. Melee. It's called Melee. Some of the song titles are like Pokemon references. Like one's called War Turtle, stuff like that. And it's like post-millennial in that sense. And it's just really well done. I listened to the first song and I was like, oh yeah, this slaps. I've listened to it a few more times since then. It really just does slap.
It's pretty good. I definitely can throw it on the rotation. If I'm in the emo mood, this is one to go to. Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we listen to too much of this music, but no, it's a really solid debut album. It might get up there.
We'll see. I see you've been listening to the new Doma, Sam.
Oh my god, yeah. Molcat Doma, everyone's favorite Belarusian cosplayers. It's so good. It really Molcat Doma just don't miss. Like their previous album the one I can't pronounce, the hotel one, is really solid. This one, Monument, is also really solid, but for a little different reasons. It's a lot more like synth influence than their previous work, or synth wave influence. It's closer to pop than post punk, but it's just handled really well. Like, these guys really know their way around like the post punk veneer. You got the awesome syncopated drum beats and the loops that just go on forever, slapping bass lines.
It's just such a jam.
Yeah, every track jams. Like, it hits this weird, like, nostalgia for a time you didn't live in, like, neo-Soviet vibe that, like, all the Zoomers love. And it's just really fun.
And it's really well, I mean, I love the atmosphere that all of their stuff just sort of creates, where it just has it feels so far away, but
yeah, like, it's like they ran the whole thing through, like, an analog filter, and it really works. Yeah, and like, this album is just like enough of an artistic evolution from their previous work that I can enjoy it without it sounding like too samey.
Sure, I agree with that. As much as I think Atazi is, I think, better than Monument. I said it.
Whoa!
I said it.
I think they're different records. I think it depends on what you like, and we tend to like darker sounds.
That is true.
But if you're a I'm not gonna say something, but if you're into dance music, this album definitely slaps, and it tickles that itch without being too repetitive or too tropey.
Will any of these songs make it big on TikTok?
Honestly, they all could.
They all probably could. Yeah, I agree.
All right, Adam. What about I see you've been listening to Hokago Grind Time.
Dude, Hokago Grind Time is like easily the best grind record of the year. I'm not afraid to say it.
I've literally never seen this album ever.
It's grind with anime waifu snippets. That's it. That's all it is. Like, the track will begin with a nice Oni-chan, and then it'll break into just horrific grindcore. And the vocals on this album are, like, really just kind of, they're gross. Alright, you know what? Good grind album. That's all it is. Good grind album.
Alright. I haven't seen this album cover anywhere. Where do you find it?
Well, funnily enough, I've seen this album cover before, because I was at one point watching a YouTube video where I saw the album cover, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a funny teehee grind album. But his first full length, I think it's his first full length, just came out, and it's one guy, right? And basically, I'm just kind of looking at the metal album. He's released a bunch of splits over the last year or so, and it's just sort of grind, just gore grind.
Gotcha.
The name is a parody of Hokago Tea Time, which is a fictional band from the manga and anime series, K-On!
Yeah, I see that. K-On! Amazing show for those who haven't seen it.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? Baku Cinefied, or Moe to the Gore, is a pretty darn good album.
Alright, I'm just going to listen to 30 seconds of this track and see what I get.
Yeah, just like listen to one of the tracks, and it's just brutal grind for 20 minutes. I'm sure you can picture what all the rest of these songs on the album sound like from
Yeah. Grindcore's I grind. It's a good thing we have like a column like Grind Your Gears on Heavy Blog as Heavy, because like I don't pay any attention to grindcore. I guess it never really peeks its head out of like the subgenre.
Yeah, no, because you have stuff like Old Pig Destroyer and like nothing else.
Yeah, well, I mean, Napalm Death released an album this year, right?
Yeah, but even that's more like death grind, which is, you're going more into like full of hell territory.
True. I guess grind really isn't beloved by the larger music press.
So, to recap, Hokago Grind Time, and fuck, what's the one from last year? No One Knows What the Dead Think. Those are your two big grind bands to watch as they come up in the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, No One Knows What the Dead Think were a supergroup that got together for one album.
Yeah, but still. Just keep your eye out.
What do you mean keep your eye out?
They might go on a tour, Sam. Shush. I don't want to hear it.
Won't. All right.
I don't hear it.
Let's see. How's Virus by Haken?
Virus by Haken's pretty good. What do you think of Virus by Haken?
Virus by the band Haken. Never heard of these guys before, but I think it's a good album.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I don't think we need to talk too in depth because it's gonna be there. Okay, it's gonna be there.
Beware.
Somewhere. Wink, wink. Sam, talk to me about your thoughts on the new Jesu.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. This album's so goddamn boring. So goddamn boring. Like, I can tell it's adequately executed. Like, clearly, dude knows how to write a droney post-indie song, whatever. But it's just... I don't find this engaging at all. Like,
I feel like I'm listening to Planning for Burial without any of the heaviness. And any of like the what makes Planning for Burial so great is all the songs build, right? That's what makes Doomgaze as a genre really cool, right? All the songs build towards like a musical revelation. That's not necessarily a climax, but it's something really cool and ingenious. And all these Jesu songs are just like the same thing for 8 minutes. They really don't go anywhere. And maybe that's not the point, but maybe I'm coming at this with a prog head's notion of what indie should be, but like. Well, no, even like post-rock is built off of climaxes, and that's really close to whatever the hell Jesu was doing here.
Oh, yeah, I was looking forward to this album, too, because, like, Jesu's one of those bands that everyone's like, oh, you like drone, you like metal-adjacent stuff, you'll love Jesu. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'll hop on the ball, I'm sure it will be good. And it's a snooze fest. I listened to this album 3 times, and every time I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened during it.
Right.
There's at one point he uses a vote coder, and that's kind of cool, but like, it doesn't make these tunes interesting.
No, yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I'm sure some sad indie boys love this, but it's just not for me.
Fair enough.
What the heck is this Macabre album?
A bad album. A bad album is what it is. So Macabre is actually a really old band. They've been around since the 80s. And they're actually credited as being one of the, like, first real death metal bands. Like, to make death metal a thing. Like death adjacent, right? Uh-huh. And so, I sort of look back at their catalog, and, like, I don't know, their first album's called Gloom. Like, their 2000 album is just called Dahmer, right? And it's a Jeffrey Dahmer concept album. So I was like, okay, alright, I can get into, this, right? And then I start looking at their stuff as it comes to now. And, like, their 2003 album's called Murder Metal. Their 2011 album is called Grim Scary Tales. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Their 2020 release, first album in 9 years... Okay, it's called Carnival of Killers. It's on Nuclear Blast, right?
Big label.
I gotta say, not all the content here is bad. But the tracks like Them Dry Bones, which is just a death metal cover of Them Dry Bones, and The Wheels on the Bug is just a death metal cover of The Wheels on the Bus. Now, believe it or not, those do not translate well into metal. And I'd rather listen to the original Wheels on the Bus and, like, whatever the hell Them Dry Bones is from than the covers here. They're just so phoned in. They're so silly, so goofy. And you know what? That might be the aesthetic. But no, it's not for me. And some of the tracks, like some of the grind tracks, are like okay, and some of the normal death metal tracks are alright, but basically it's a death thrash album with very honed in energy and nothing interesting going on. So
why did you listen to this?
Because it was on because Invisible Oranges was like, oh, listen, And so I listened, and I was not happy with what I came out with. That's why.
Yeah, I just listened to about 30 seconds of the Wheels on the Bug, and that's not for me.
Bad. It's bad. Yeah, no. Cannot do that. New Dark Buddha Rising came out. Thoughts?
Yeah, oh my god. I was expecting to be like, oh, it's not Aranti Pazuzu, it's probably not that good. And then I read the AMG review and I saw 4.0 and I was like, yeah, all right. And so I listened to it. I've only listened to it once, but I was floored. I was floored. It's like the same, like, psychedelic, just coked out, super post metal. Like, when I say post metal, I mean like post metal as a genre, not the genre. Past metal, I should say.
Metal.
Past the confines
beyond.
of metal. Hyper modern metal, if you will. I hate terminology. And it's the super, like, hyper modern school of, like, blending everything into a soup and just focusing on wild songwriting, crazy psychedelic moments, and it's really great. I love Waste of Space Orchestra's album, and this is the first time I've listened to Dark Buddha Rising in isolation, but it's really just well done.
I think
as a droner.
As a droner, it definitely works. The long song lengths attribute to themselves well. In fact, I think better than they did on Waste of Space Orchestra.
Shots fired. Fired.
No. Everyone knows my not distaste for that album, but
when did you write about that?
Sometime. I
don't think
they might not know. But anyway,
that.
If you don't know, regardless, it's coming out now. I felt Waste of Space Orchestra was a good experiment, but the two bands didn't gel perfectly. And that made for some of the cuts being a little less memorable and a little long-winded for my liking. Now, with the Aranti Pazuzu album that came out earlier this year that is downright amazing, all those songs are concentrated into nice 6 to 8 minute packages, which is perfect for them. And here, Dark Buddha Rising is coming out with tracks that are like 10 to 15 minutes, and you know what? They fit that style a lot better than Aranti Pazuzu does. I agree. They really know how to write songs. Yes.
We always talk about climax, focused songwriting, and Dark Buddha Rising definitely know what's up. It sort of reminds me of the Big Brave album from last year.
Yes, I agree.
In the sense that, like, it's very repetitive, but in a good way, and in a way that serves the song, instead of just like what a lesser band might just loop things for, like, padding out the tracks. Like, you can tell these guys know what they're doing. There's a real keen eye towards atmosphere and towards craftsmanship here.
Definitely one to check out.
I'll definitely have to listen to it more, but I can totally see it squeezing its way into the list.
Yeah. Since this is running kind of long, not really, but I'm going to talk about one, maybe two more of what I've been listening to. The new
Adam, I didn't know you liked Father of All by Green Day so much.
No, it's not there. It's not there. Fortunately, it's not there. That probably was on my top stair at one point when it came out, which is unfortunate. Or on my, not top stair, Last FM. But anyway, new Antzat. Antzat is a new, I think they're Dutch or German, one of the two. No, Belgian.
Racist.
Their debut, for you men who gaze into the sun, came out just before Halloween. And like, I think it's the best modern black metal album of the year.
That's high praise.
With no Magua to really, just steal the spotlight like they always do. This album is just, I would even argue it's better than the Flui Storars album.
Ooh,
because
I have to check it out.
It's just, it's kind of corny. I won't lie. Like at the beginning of the title track, there's like a spoken word or like video, like, sound segment of a guy going, "For you men who gaze into the sun," and then it, breaks into the blast beats and screeches. It's a little corny in that regard.
Is that a Shakespeare quote?
It might be. And yeah, it's a 4-piece and it's really good.
I totally buy it.
yeah, it's just ripping black metal. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, CM?
Actually, I did have one thing. 1 second, kill time, because I have to look at my last FM.
All right. Well, I'll talk about the other album that I've been jamming to. Is by an Icelandic black metal band called Auden, with saying that in the worst way possible.
Auden.
Auden. A-U, funny D-N. I don't know the name for the funny D. It's atmospheric black metal. Their fourth album? Third album. Voku Dramu Sins Fangi came out. Also,
why did you do like a Japanese accent for the start of that?
I don't know. But it's Atmo Black with a heavy emphasis on riffage more than, like, I guess the normal song structures you get for black metal. It feels like a death metal album in composition with a black metal execution, and it's really cool. And it's really good.
All right.
And that one's on Season of Mist, so, I mean, they're pretty big. They're from, most of their members are from Dinfari, which is it's a pretty, I wouldn't say big Atmo black band, but they've been around for like 10 years. So like half of the members are former members of Dinfari. So
I found the
veteran
things.
names. All right, what do you got?
All right, so firstly, this is the coldest of all takes, but wow, King Crimson has an amazing discography.
Yeah, no shit, King Crimson has an amazing. All right.
Well, no, the thing is, because like, I the only album I've really given a lot of time to is their debut, right? In the court. But for my prog show, I played their third album, Lizard, in full, and it's just phenomenal. Because like a lot of the mid period is sort of just ignored, or not mid period. I don't know. A lot of like the early albums, like in the Wake of Poseidon, Lizard, and the stuff that would come after, don't really get talked about in like broader musical scenes, and they're so phenomenal. Like Lizard in particular has so much jazz influence and so much classical influence, and the whole thing feels like wonderfully pastoral, and it's just really good. And I need to listen to more King Crimson.
I believe it.
And secondly, I listened to the entire Ariana Grande album, Positions.
Okay. Yep.
And gosh, I don't know. I can't help but looking at the whole thing in a very cynical light, because I had to write I didn't have to, but I wrote a fairly long paper about how Ariana Grande is like, I'm not going to use the Marxist language, but she's a member of the ruling class that sells the sentiment of the average person to other people, wrapped in this false guise. And wow, the album just kind of, it doesn't suck because it's really competently made like modern pop, but definitely not for me, and the whole thing just feels overwhelmingly cynical to me.
Thank You Next was better, I think, in just terms of songwriting. I miss Pop Ari already. I prefer Pop Ari to R&B Ari.
I mean, they're the same though.
Not really. This album, like, there were a few bangers in my opinion, and that's it. The rest just kind of.
Well, okay, I was like, it's
dude, the track featuring Doja Cat is smacking.
I agree. That's
don't
good.
lie.
Look, if you wanna have fun, just look at who produced all these songs. Each song is like 5 to 10 producers, no joke.
Of course.
And just track these guys' resumes because it's nuts. Like, I'm convinced that like through just like this one album, you can find the entire music landscape through like one-on-one connections. Like, I could probably trace one of these guys back to like, I don't know, Thomas Hawk of Meshuggah or something. Like,
dude, where's
nuts.
Steve Albini? He's got to be on there.
Where's Based Albini? Yeah, I don't know. The messaging on the album's also really inconsistent, and because like half the songs are her like, oh, I'm really independent and we need to do X, Y, and Z social progress, and then half the other songs are just her like ignoring that. I don't know. It's, you know what? The album's already certified platinum, so clearly she's doing something right?
Yeah, clearly. Well. We can now move on to our main topic of Palimpsest by Protest the Hero. So all those
my
of you
sisters
who don't know,
and brothers who need it so bad,
Protest the Hero is an Ontario-based progressive metalcore band. It formed in 1999. They have put out 5 albums up to this point. Palimpsest being the one to catch our, I guess, feelers or opinions or whatever. And we both really like the records. Let's start with that. It has probably the most fun listening experience of any album this year. I can admit and agree to that statement. I think we should before we start talking about the tough philosophical implications, we should go track by track, talk about the tracks, talk about why we like them, and then we can have the broader discussion. Okay, so I guess ultimately what we're trying to figure out is, alright, we need to preface this with our main goal, because we gotta have an intro. I don't think this should be anywhere on our Year of End list, because I feel like the album overall just feels so completely disjointed in any objective sense to look at. I'm not saying the album's disjointed. I think the theming is great, and I think the songs flow very well. But I think overall, it's so uncomfortable for me to be like, this is the best album. Because I had such a negative reaction to it. Not negative, but weirdly, I had a very weird relationship with it at first, and even as it's grown, I still don't think it's like a best album. I don't think it's objectively anywhere near the best album of the year. But I love it. So that's the turmoil. That's what we're fighting.
I'm gonna ask this question later.
Okay.
Adam, do you think 1000 Gex was one of the best albums of last year?
No, I don't.
All right. At least you're consistent.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm
of the position that I think Palimpsest is one of the best albums of the year. And I think the main reason is because, without a doubt, it is the most enjoyable listening experience ever. I think it checks every single box for great prog. It's incredibly catchy. It's incredibly well written, and it's where instrumental virtuosity meets songwriting proficiency. And to me, that's when prog really, really shines. And I think I think traditionally, if you're looking at pure artistic merit or whatever baggage you may associate with that term, it's not on the same echelon as Ulcerate, because Ulcerate is a perfect album. There's nothing wrong with that. I think you could find smaller flaws in Protest the Hero, but at the end of the day, it's easily my most enjoyable record, and I can justify why I love it and why I think it's immaculately crafted. And I think that's enough for that it should at least deserve a spot towards the top of the list. Because I've listened to it more than any other albums this year. It's so fun. It's so great. It scratches every single itch I want from the genre. And yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, before we go track by track, I want to preface it with some context, right?
Okay, sure.
So, Rhodey Walker, vocalist of Protest the Hero, for those who don't know, lost his voice on a North American tour a few years ago. He blew out his vocal cords and he was unable to sing for a few years, which is obviously something that sucks as a vocalist, as a singer, especially if it's your livelihood. And so he had to go through quite a, laborious training process in order to get his voice back and be able to sing. I think his vocals on this record are really great, but they definitely reflect sort of a growth and the struggle associated with it. And Walker in a few interviews has sort of hit upon the point that the theming of Palimpsest, which is also important to get out of the way.
Palimpsest.
Theming of Palimpsest, which is also important to get out of the way, is it takes a critical look at 20th century America and our tendency to obfuscate things we don't like in our country's history and replace them with a crafted narrative, right? And how this tends to erase our true histories in favor of an idealized past that never really existed. And it's a pretty cynical record, but in the cynicism, there's a recognition of the core of American values and how at its heart, we may or may not be a great country. And Rhodey Walker himself has said in a few interviews that to him, it sort of parallels his vocal cords dying and him getting them back. Because sure, it was a horrible experience, but there was a silver lining, and it's always important to look for that, I guess.
Okay. Good preface. Are we going track by track then?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, track 1 is The Migrant Mother, which is about the migrant mother and the Great Depression. The Migrant Mother obviously is a very iconic photo taken in oh god, it might have been I thought it was
1936.
Later. Yeah, later.
Because it was during the Dust Bowl.
Dust Bowl, right, which also happened during the Great Depression. Banger.
Absolute banger. Yeah, no. Well, what's really great about this album is, and I think Protest the Hero as a whole, is just how great these songs flow. Because realistically, there's a chorus, there's a verse, there's a bridge, and there's an outro, but you never know because the songs, they just move at such a breakneck pace, propelled by, what's the drummer's name? I gotta look at the personnel.
He's good.
Well, yeah, he has sick ass beats that propel the entire thing, a really solid bass line, and just sheer guitar wizardry. And what's great about this band is they're really just willing to shred their asses off, but in a way that's somehow tasteful. It's very garish, it's very in your face, but they're able to do it with a key sense of melody that really makes the songs great. And Rhodey Walker is able to sit on top of that and craft really, really delectable vocal hooks and vocal passages on top of that pull the whole experience together.
I think you're right, but at the same time, this is a very jarring listen. Whether you love it or hate it, I think that this is, at least for me, unlike anything I've ever heard. But not in the way you listen to something I don't know, most Mike Patton projects.
Neptunian Maximalism.
Neptunian Maximalism. This, I kind of akin to listening to this like listening to Devin Townsend. It's just so much different than anything else in the genre because it has its very own unique footprint, in where everything on this album is just mixed so high. You can hear absolutely everything. You can hear the drums, you can hear every note of the soloing. It's also, as you said, garish and in your face. And sometimes I think it suffers from this, but I also think that overall, it's nice to hear absolutely everything, making its mark and just being almost hyper pop in the way that it's just sort of pushing everything at 100.
Yeah, totally. I think, I forget who wrote this, but Protest the Hero are very much like Queensryche meet Between the Buried and Me turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And because
that sounds about right.
The way BT Bam writes songs is they don't really, they mash a bunch of passages together and, Protest the Hero do that, but they do it in a way that just flows a lot better. I could sing every single lyric to this tune and all the other ones in the album. And there's never a moment where it's they really just put in 3 prog turnarounds to get us back to the chorus. Right. It feels very natural in its progression. And I think we should highlight some moments we like in these songs. Cause
sure.
I mean, just it's such an amazing intro because we have that sick, the Palimpsest theme, the do, 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 with the strings before it all comes out. And then the first notes on the album, you got the and then it leaves a pocket for the soaring opening lines. It's so good. It's so enjoyable. And the lyric, a big issue with prog lyrics is they're either way too direct or they're either way too abstract, and it's really hard to walk a fine line.
Sure.
And Rhodey Walker and Protest the Hero managed to do both. The lyrics are so in your face, but at the same time, they're definitely waving towards a much, much, much bigger picture. This song on the surface level is about a migrant mother and how a lot of people, left their homes to work in California and other places, and how that in turn hurt the people in the long run and hurt the families they abandoned. And that's a powerful sentiment, but you can more broadly extend that to the vicious like labor cycle that decimated the country in the early 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And like continues to decimate our workforce today. And like that's pretty heady and like on the nose subject matter for a tune.
In my original review, I credited the lyrics as probably being one of the best part of the album because of the topics they tackle, including many stuff that I did not know, but as well as the fact that I mean it kind of is poetic. I mean obviously it's poetic, but you know. It does a really nice job at telling all the stories while at the same time, as you said, painting a bigger picture, but also staying engaging, having good hooks. The hooks aren't, like, too bogged down in their wordiness. Like, you know, the fucking California promised heaven, the heaven we cannot deny, but I'll deny most anything. Rags of riches, gods of kings, just need to feel the wheels underneath me. It's the end. But like that regardless, all the choruses on here are so memorable. And I think the lyrics help with that.
I agree. Yeah, and that's a good transition into The Canary. I think this is the first single off the album, actually.
First single, but I do want to say quickly before we jump, the big problem I still have with this album is abrupt endings, which they do all too often. I feel like on a lot of tracks, the band just sputters out because they don't know how to conclude. Which is fine, because I don't know how to conclude essays or reviews. But you know, I'd
argue that, no, I think that's definitely a notable thing, but I will say most of the time it flows perfectly into the next song. And this is definitely one of the examples. I would think
in the middle section where it's made to do that, with your tracks like Fireside into Soliloquy, into Reverie, and even into Little Snakes. Like, all of those tracks do feel very nice in their literal weaving in there. And I think the Canary From the Sky is fine, too. But I think that still the conclusions are pretty weak overall.
So, Adam, what's The Canary about?
Canary is about our girl Amelia Earhart, and she's gonna travel across the ocean and then die. And the song is basically saying that, well, it's saying a lot of things, but the main thing is how I think Amelia Earhart is just another figure that, you know, we sort of attributed to sexism playing a role in just jobs in society as a whole, where Amelia Earhart is another example of a woman who failed, because obviously she died when trying to cross back across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. No, I think there's a term for, like, the term backlash is appropriate here.
Yeah, backlash.
Which is sort of like a hegemonic response to any gains made by a marginalized group. So Amelia Earhart, you know, in the last lines of the song, women must pay for everything when they crash or whatever. I think that's what they are. And that's actually a quote from Earhart herself, and it goes to show you that her defeat is remembered just as well as all of her accomplishments, which is sort of like, you know, whatever the society sort of taking this as an example of showing the flaws and how women aren't able to do these crazy tasks just as much as proving the opposite.
And wow, this track bangs.
Yeah, this track goes hard. Like from the start of that, you just get this delicious guitar lead, and then it just builds and builds and builds until we hit like a really thrashy verse, and that just goes from nowhere.
The thrash verse gets me every time. With the shit spoken, the shit sung lead in, it just, I don't know, man. It's so bad, but good.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a guilty, and the chorus is great. I don't want to call this a guilty pleasure album, but like a lot of the time, that is what it feels like. I feel almost bad for listening to it.
Yeah, because it's so shameful. Like, it's so, because like, I don't know, we spent a lot of time as like metal reviewers or music critics trying to find, like, you know, stuff like Wanderers of the Nine, which is just an artistic statement, zero melody, true kvilt, right? And this album is just not that at all. It's unabashedly in your face, and it's super poppy.
Yeah, it's almost entirely focused about around their choruses. I mean, that's the message they're trying to send. I think is mostly in the chorus. And they have these big symphonic arrangements that accompany every single chorus to make you remember them.
Yeah, no,
smart, by the way, and those are great.
Yeah, I forgot they had a dude specifically write arrangements to add to these songs, and like the strings and the horns add so much, and they're not really in your face like a band like Diablo Swing Orchestra. They're really cool, but sometimes the sometimes the really over the top horns or strings can take away from the production, and here they just sort of sit in, meld with the background, really add some context.
It's very tasteful. Very tasteful.
I love the staccato like gent breakdown in this song.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm no baggage. And I think the chorus on this song is easily the dumbest because it really is.
Oh yeah.
It's so straightforward, but it really does work.
Yeah, but you can also. I mean, it was the single, so you can tell that they were trying to market to a bigger audience with this track.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we should talk about this just for later on. I think we should talk about the other two tracks that were released and why they weren't on the album.
Okay, yeah,
because
they both slap.
They do both slap. Anyway, are we moving on at this point?
Yeah, sure.
Second
single. This song I absolutely love. I think Adam thinks it's cringy.
I do. All right. I think the breakdown into the return of the chorus it's so cringe.
Oh, it's so dumb. It's straight up like 2007. Like,
oh my god, dude!
Like it's screamo. Like I don't even know what you call that. Like,
yeah, there's they bring in a piano and they're playing the piano while he's singing, and then everything starts to build. Oh my god, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's a very like musical theater moment where like you sing like a softer version of the chord or of the line, and then it builds and builds until you're screaming out. It's like Red Hands by the Deer Hunter. It's exactly what it is. It's a super like late 2000s emo moment.
Yeah. So take my picture.
Yeah, and I mean,
my god,
this song, like, really, all the songs just get it right off with a banging guitar riff, and the bang guitar riff here is awesome. And I particularly love how the time signature changes halfway through, like, because you have the and then the drums change up the feel, and it gives it a really cool, like, syncopated feel. And this song is a pretty hefty subject matter. Specifically, it's about how the Hindenburg disaster, it was about how the Hindenburg itself was actually a Nazi airship, and it had a swastika on its tail.
No, it was on the side of it. It was a blimp. It had the fucking swastika on the side.
Yeah, and on its emblazoned on the rudders and plastered on the tail, right? Yeah. Except this was totally ignored by the press at the time, and how the pictures that were released sort of obfuscated this fact, and sort of more broadly how images and words and coverage of certain incidents like that can obfuscate the truth and hide certain realities. And gosh,
word for the day is obfuscate.
Yeah, there's obfuscation by Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah.
We gotta hit all the prog references.
Oh yeah, I think this song does very well for itself until the halfway point where it breaks down. Because even the chorus of like with we're malleable as gold, it breaks down very nice, like a prog metalcore song should. But as soon as it just sort of fades, I want it to end. I don't need it to come back.
I love the comeback. It's one of my favorite moments on the album.
No, I don't. The comeback is dumb. It's cringy.
A picture
and,
that?
What it builds to is good, but for that minute, I'm out.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, the thing is, like, it just pokes the pleasure center in my brain. Cause like, you get like the piano, and sure, it's really cheesy, it's over the top, but then like the guitars come in, everything starts building, and then suddenly Rhodey's screaming at like an A6 or whatever, and everything's coming back even bigger, and then you get like, because words are wind, but image impacts our collective memory, and then you get to reprise the intro riff, and it's just really well written. It's really well done. I don't care if it's dumb, because it works in the context of the record, and it's a really powerful moment.
Alright. Fine. Now, what about the last minute of this track that on streaming services is entitled Harborside? I don't think it's necessary. Even with it being a normal part of the song, I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, I think so. Normally I'd be like, oh, no, I hate title interludes, whatever. But, so Adam, do you remember an album by a little known band called Liturgy?
Of course I do.
HAQQ?
I do. New Liturgy coming out soon.
Yeah, it should slap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna make that joke. But... yeah, no, so HAQQ is a really balls to the walls album. All the straight up black metal tracks, they beat your fucking head in with just intensity in like post black metal, transcendental black metal, whatever you want to call it. And something that's in interlude tracks on that album are used really well because they're sort of palate cleansers and breathers in between these moments of sheer intensity.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'd argue that
but I don't
Protest do the same thing on this album.
I don't think it's needed here, though. I understand it being needed on HAQQ, and I can get it a little bit coming from this one. But I have more of a problem in the second half, where it's like, there's like 3 of them in a row. And that just kind of... there's 2 in a row. But regardless... It comes off so unnecessary. I just want to get in the music. I hate intros. I hate outros. I hate interludes.
Well, I think here it's good because they're foreshadowing and reprising melodies.
I don't know, man.
And also,
I don't know, man.
Palette cleanser, and also it leads perfectly in to All Hands, which is a slapper.
Well, true. All Hands is a slapper. Actually, I'd still say it's probably my favorite song on the album. Even if I don't think it's the best.
I think my favorite songs are either Gardenias or Little Snakes.
Well, this one has always been my favorite. For its banging skank
chorus
beat. And I just think the whole thing bangs.
No, I got
like it's such a comparatively to the last 2 tracks, it just, I don't want to say it goes so much harder, but in traditional metal instrumentation, it's a lot more just balls to the wall, pumping, like, you have your nice little, like, almost string imitatingly section, like the guitar is playing, like, a violin part in the verse, and then it just builds with the tom and snare build up into the chorus.
Yeah, no, they're like, this is like a power pop song, and it's executed perfectly. Like, once again, sick guitar intro, and then Rhodey comes in, and the guitars are doing a really cool, like, math rock tapping part, like, and the whole time the drums are skanking, and yeah, that lead in, that real hook into the chorus, where the whole band, like, stops doing whatever they're doing, and just syncs for, like, 2 measures of It works really well, and the chorus itself is probably the most direct on the whole album.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the strings sort of marking out all the chord changes. Dun, dun, you can tell my train is coming in. Yeah, I don't know.
It's really just great.
Yeah, and this song is about the Great Molasses Flood, or the Boston Molassacre, which happened in 1919 in the good New England city of Boston, where a train exploded in one of their port towns and killed 21 people due to molasses.
I think it's fucking hysterical but horrible.
Oh yeah, that's so bad. And like, this song is from the point of view as one of those people, and sort of talks about how, I guess, Americans are overworked and constantly dreaming of something that they can never have. looking towards the future and thinking, hey, if these other people can do it, maybe I can, until they eventually die. And I think it's used ironically here. Because like you have the juxtaposition of the the narrator's excited for their train to come in or their dream to come in, and then it comes in and it's a molasses car that kills them.
Yeah, little funny touch of irony. I think this song, I can't complain about it.
Yeah, the bridge is great too because you have the soft "My dream's about to come in," and then it gets heavy and you get Le Growls.
You get Le Growl for the first time on the album. Granted, not the best part of Protest the Hero.
It's funny because Rhodey Walker is phenomenal at doing like the screamo, like post-hardcore scream, but he sucks at doing death metal growls.
It's really funny to listen to. It's like an American Idol audition where someone goes in there and they're trying to do a death metal growl and they just can't. But they air it anyway because it's funny to listen to, and
it works. It works in the context too, and like generally they use the growls or the scream vocals to either say something really poignant or something darker than usual. And I will say the lyrics at this part are dumb but I don't know, it still works.
Yeah, it works. It works. I'll give it to this song for working.
Rhodey Walker, he posted a sing through of this a couple days ago on his YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
And
I gotta watch that.
It's pretty good. But during the last part, the piano interlude, he sings it in a dinosaur costume. It's pretty cool.
All right, I'm in. Okay. Well, we can move on then
to the Fireside, which is another one of the best tracks on this album.
Oh yeah,
this track is so good.
This one bangs even harder than this track bangs. Then All Hands banged. Fireside just goes in.
It really does. You get the scream rapping, which I love.
I don't like the scream rap.
The chorus
I could live without the scream rap.
The chorus here is distinctly different than the rest of the album, and the last quarter climax is really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's you won't miss the what? Yeah, this one's also it's so fun, and I really love how wordy the scream rapping is and how it actually works.
I don't like how wordy it is. I don't like listening to it. It seems too jumbled and no. I could live without.
If you're dumb enough to witness this in 7 ways of christening, you're dumb enough to listen when they want. I can't do it.
It's too much. It's a little too much. A little too much for me. But
the chorus is super fun, though.
Yes. Also, this is where the hate of the Roosevelt family dynasty begins on this album. Rhodey does not hold back against that clan, as we will discuss later. But
I don't think Teddy and FDR are related.
They have the same last name. What do you mean? They're like there has to be some relation.
All right, you can Google this. I'll explain So this song, "The Fireside," is a reference. The name's a reference to the Fireside Chats, which famously were given by FDR during the Great Depression and helped get the country out of the Depression itself. And due to a number of social programs that we need more of nowadays, like the New Deal and whatnot. But in addition, also by mobilizing the country for World War II, because a large swath of the population was very, very against the war until Pearl Harbor, until FDR sort of made this mass mobilization that got them into it. And so the song is about, how this country that's in disarray and needs a strong leader, needs someone to push them forward, and how FDR, through the military-industrial complex, was the one who did that. And the last section of the song works really well, where Rhodey screams, he sort of, it's like a salesman or like an evangelical, like giving this speech to rile up his people. Like, I've got a job for every able-bodied man, munition factories, and just works really well.
Sorry to interrupt. FDR and Theodore Roosevelt are fifth cousins, and
fifth,
and hold on, Eleanor Roosevelt is Theodore's niece. Okay, so they're like they probably had met.
Yeah, okay.
They both grew up in New York. Oyster Bay and Hyde Park, New York. And they were two branches of the family that interconnected with the marriage of Eleanor and Franklin Delano.
I can't do a good FDR voice, but
no, I can't either.
He was a good president.
You know what? Yeah, no. No, mobilize bad, war bad.
War bad.
War bad.
And this song does a really good, like, it kind of reminds...
this, Idols, this is the correct way to be lib-based in 2020.
This means war. I was going to say, like, towards the end, it really reminds me of, like, the Pimp and the Priest character from, like, huge bittersweet part 4 or 5 vibes.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's, once again, like, what's really cool about this album is, like, all the sentiments present here, you can totally see in today's America. Like, especially some of the lines, like, towards the beginning, like, when they came for the crib, they came for the table, they came for the backs, they came for it all, like, you know, fear-mongering. Mm-hmm. If you're over the chorus, or the start, you won't miss the water till the well runs dry. It's very poignant. It's very, very true. Yeah,
I agree.
And now the worst song on the album.
No, I don't know. I feel like Soliloquy and Reverie are a toss-up.
Yeah,
they're definitely the worst tracks, but
they're still slappers, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they hold the energy pretty well that the Fireside, I guess, started. Because like even like the non-climaxes of these tracks are like they're pretty smacking, and the climaxes here are corny. Like the Soliloquy one makes me cringe, but like it's great.
Oh, I'm bleeding.
Yeah, like I'm take the wheel, drive away. Yeah, I don't know. It's cringe. But it works, and I guess, see, even like this one, I feel more comfortable with this sort of climax and final, like, poppy moment than I do, like, the From the Sky one.
Wow.
Because it feels more based in reality for the band. It feels like that was a natural way to get from where they are, like, at the beginning of the song to this crooning, like, oh, Jesus is laid out on the cross and he's being raised on the hilltop, in that terms of sentiment. But this song is about this and the next song.
Yeah, it's about Babyface Nelson or Lester Gillis.
Yeah. Basically, these two tracks are prison system bad and for-profit prison bad. And prison fucks people up, and you should kind of like be aware of that and take that account to when people are trying to re-enter society. So, hey, that's a good message.
Yeah, I agree. You know, imagine unironically supporting prisons like Adam.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, on this song, once again, the riffs are really solid. The rhythm section's there, and I think the vocal delivery in the verses are super fun. Like, it's really rhythmic. You can reach for your service pistol by the time you get in a betting that this will be. It's very wordy.
No, it's very genty and very wordy, and it's almost like rapping, but not like rapping.
Rody Walker's bringing new metal back.
It's completely in time with like most of the drum line or most of the drum hits, like the big snare hits. And hey, you know what? Even on this song, Soliloquy, the death metal girls don't sound horrible. They're better on this one, I think.
Oh yeah, but yeah, like the household.
Yeah, like I think they fit better.
Yeah, I will say I think the latter half of this track isn't super, as strong as the other. It's just like because we have the so swaddle me in a native blanket. You know I can't stand being cold. I just don't think that's that part's super interesting. It's good. It's just it doesn't hit the same heights.
Sure.
And I think, like I said, I think the ending where the I think I'm bleeding out, take the wheels, is just kind of dumb. I do like the strings there, though.
Very cool. Yeah. As it builds to that, oh man, yeah, the strings sound nice. Like the last, you'll have to do better than that.
You'll have to do better than.
It's really nice.
And then we get the horns leading into Reverie. Dun 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 dun.
Hey, a true prog moment, jumping from track to track. But yeah, this one is just kind of. It just doesn't have any moments that are super duper memorable. Like, they're memorable. I think assuming you know the truth is a great line. And has good sentiment.
I think that you had your big dreams and planted a seed verse is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the song's just a lot more emotional than Soliloquy, and it has a lot bigger moments, and the riffs are just a little better.
Sure.
Like,
I'll agree the lyrics are better.
Like Father, forgive me. That's like, that whole part's a really good delivery. And then how it switches between aggression, how the song, like, sort of, how there's, like, a very clear narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the as you grow in my supposed image is really, I don't know, I just like the more operatic and, like, the more over-the-top delivery here, and I think it matches the sentiment, which is also about how, the prison system is a for-profit system that, systematically, see what I did there, keeps people in a cycle where they have to basically go back and forth between the prisons and the streets until one of them takes their lives, and how it definitely exploits these individuals more than it helps them.
And hey, John Dillinger.
Of the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Of the Dillinger Escape Plan is in this song. So hey, nice little tie-in to that right there. But yeah, no, I think the song's good, but I also think that it suffers from being in the middle of the track list and just being one of the more forgetful ones on the record in comparison. Yeah, like it's still good, but a lot of the other tracks just hit really, really high highs. I mean, I think Soliloquy and Reverie work well as a 1-2 punch, though, and I can see why they're segmented this way in the track listing. And this song has a lot of really good lines. Like, I really like the way Roddy tackles like generational like embrace. Like, my legend will grow as my story gives birth to a new generation of violent offenders who worship my memory, hyperbolize my splendor. That's a really good line. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's just not. It's just not as solid as the rest. But you know what is as solid as the rest? Yeah, no. This track is just, compared to the last, I would argue, last three. There's not even a contest.
Yeah, Little Snakes is just it has probably my favorite musical moment of the year, and the climax at the very end.
Oh yeah, and if you can leave everything out, and just have it be the reasoning of why we love it for that last reasoning, but like all the messaging is so on the nose.
It's so cynical and it really hurts. This song is about Mount Rushmore and sort of the things that get missed when people just visit it for their family vacations and the way it's taught, because we're just like, oh, it's a monument, whatever. But it was a sacred Indian area, and in order to get it, Teddy Roosevelt's administration massacred quite a lot of innocent Native Americans to achieve it. And it sort of just leans into this like really brutal like eradication of native history that our country and our forefathers have done and achieved, and has like it's so bitter. Like, the song starts with like the panned guitars like and then, oh, what a typical story, contested sights, the America. It's just so good.
I gotta say, the chorus and post-chorus also are just, like, one of the most memorable. You have some really memorable lines, because the rights we have, we gave to them. You can take them away without giving a damn. Like, that's, like, one of the... If you're gonna take anything away from this album, you're gonna take that away from this album. You're gonna take, obviously, the climax away. It's just... This song is chock full of good licks. a really nice driving
and, like,
drum beat and good lyrics and vocals.
The strings in the chorus are like almost gothic, like and we can make an exception, and there's the dun 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 dun, and there's like I don't believe the only good Indians are dead, but I believe that 9 out of 10 are. Like, that's an actual Teddy Roosevelt quote. And so they took and then they carved him into the native mountainside. Like, that's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It really is. And the fact that we idolize these men and sort of unquestioningly just adore them without acknowledging any of the complicated history they left behind is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like the ending of the song, the way it builds with like it's your vacation, your holiday, that really hits too, because like, yeah, you know, we're just commodifying this Americanism and ignoring everything else behind that. And so when people go to like, you know, this or go to the Washington Monument or whatever, you don't think about all the complicated history. You just think like, oh, this is a good thing,
right?
And that the last time, like Walker, for really like one of the only times the album just lets his post-hardcore screams rip, and he goes hard as fuck. And like the line that sticks,
it's unbelievable, like how just massive the whole thing feels, because you have a guitar turnaround at that point. Everything becomes massive. All the symphonic elements just drop out. It's just straight. I think they drop out.
Yeah,
and it's just straight guitar, drum, and bass, and it goes so hard.
Yeah, you get like some orchid level screams here. It's nuts, dude. But colonialism, by all definitions, is the father to a genocide. Like, oh, that's a line. That's a line.
That is a line. Yeah, and I'm listening to it right now for reference, but like. The guitars are just, you know, they slide up and down, just making a really nice, genty but sweepy motion. And then I actually think on this track, I feel like the abrupt ending works.
Oh, totally. And you get a weird slap thing right before. It's like the bass says boom, and which is great.
No, literally, you get some gent thumps in there before it calls it quits.
And then we got another interlude track,
which also feels very unnecessary.
I think like this is sort of like the heaviest moment of the album, and it's a really powerful statement. And we just heard once again 3 tracks, and I think it works here more than the other spots to break up the flow.
Sure. If I'll give any credit to any of the interludes, it'll be that one, because it's also been a decent time since we heard the last one. So I'll give it.
And we get the
track
sad
that follows.
Oh, Gardenia is amazing. It's about a Peg Entwistle who committed suicide by jumping off the Hollywood sign while high on meth. And this song is really, really chilling because it takes a lot of lines from her suicide note and just has all this really disgusting sentiment of exploitation in the entertainment industry and under capitalism as a whole, which so many Americans' life have been
It's also pretty on the nose, but it doesn't, like, it takes the imagery of the scene and takes all the things that you necessarily wouldn't think about and brings them to light. Because like I didn't know how tall the Hollywood sign H was.
It's 45 feet in the air, dude.
Until I listened to this song. Now I know, and now I know that entire like 3, I guess paragraph lyrical line is about the calculation in your head about, you know, how far you're gonna fall.
Yeah, it's really sickening.
It's
and like
it's kind of
the way Rhodey sort of sells it, where it's like he's sort of like in a top hat and like in front of a circus and selling it like the hapless hills of Hollywood hide a half-hearted miracle, and and gosh, the penny for your thoughts, quarter for the show. It's, you know, pretty direct metaphor, but it works. And the fact that he keeps on like turning to the fact that she was a blonde is pretty brutal, because she mentions this in her suicide note, and the thought being that like, oh, she's just a dumb blonde on Hollywood. She can't really have any serious issues. And realistically, like that failure to acknowledge her depression is what led to her suicide, and that's horrible. Mm-hmm. And the screams on this album, or on this song, work so well.
Yeah, the whichever way the wind blows, post-hardcore. I mean, all the post-hardcore vocals on this album is good. But even the gross growls on the truth, or like,
yes, the truth.
Yeah, like they work.
Yeah, and like by the quiet and stillness of death, take from me this body, it's all I have left. Like, sure, that's emo as heck, but it works really well, and it feels really powerful.
Yeah, no, I agree. The lyrics on this one are definitely pretty brutal. In protest the hero language, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, and Jesus, and it's really haunting at the end, where like it takes a step back, and we get a string interlude with floating effortlessly. The scent of gardenias in her hair. Like, oh gosh, that's just stunning.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there's another interlude after this track.
Yeah, I think this interlude isn't needed, but I don't know. I don't hate it, because it, once again, it sort of gets us ready for the big finale.
But we just had this. The second half of this track is an interlude, though. Like, it takes it down enough to the point where it's unnecessary. Because even if you're listening to it on like a record, right, and there's 10 tracks, where Gardenias is an extra 40 seconds longer, like, I can't imagine.
I think. Well, I mean, I listened to the whole thing on record yesterday,
right?
And it really does. It works really well. It's sort of like a periphery interlude, where like the one I always think of is the end of Light, which leads into a. Gosh, what's the one?
Yeah.
And it just works a lot better.
All right. I don't know. I'm not a fan of any of the interlude tracks, but that's been made apparent by now. I don't think there's much else that I can say about that.
We got to talk about the cathartic final song on the album, Rivet.
Well, I think Rivet is a cool track, but I also think a little cringe.
I agree, but so all the Protest the Heroes albums end with like a really positive message, and Rivet is this album's positive message. And it sort of looks back on all the great things America's done, like they built railroads, we were the leader in the world, and we gotta we gotta recognize these things and come to terms with our complicated past. Mm-hmm. And this culminates in the lines, no country's history is free from bullshit, but everyone just seems so effing proud. And yes. I don't know, it just works really well. Like I think like the really saccharine delivery and like the major key works well. I like the ragtime breakdown. I even think the "Let's Make America Great Again" refrain kind of works.
Okay, the ragtime breakdown is a nice one. That feels very good, especially with the context of the record. Oh yeah,
and like really nice. I think the Trump reference is a little dumb, but it works.
I mean, it's on this track is on the nose, but it has to be, and I think that's fine.
And I will say, like the ending of the absolute ending of the album, like the last like 30 seconds, leap with faith, fly blindly through a history gone wrong. Let the people's voices rip through your ears. I sold my kingdom for a song. I think that is so powerful. I think it encapsulates the whole thing and ends it on this like cathartic but bittersweet recognition that like we sold our kingdom for a song. Like, I don't know, that's a really good line, and there's a lot of ways to read it, and it's really chilling the way the album the way that repeats before giving way to nice string lines and then resolving a chord. Finally, the chord the album starts with, they resolve it, and it's nice. It works really well musically, and I think it's a great like bow tie on top.
I agree. I think it is a good closing track. I do think it's obviously the entire thing is a little cringy, but
sometimes you just gotta accept the cringe.
The nice orchestration and overall, I guess, uplifting nature that the track brings is it's fine. I get it. I understand why, because you just went through almost an hour of despondent and very anti-America sentiment. I can understand the want to sort of bring it up at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't know, like, we could always talk about this, but like, 2020 is pretty bleak, and I'm sure it's made a lot of us come to terms with certain aspects of our country that we'd rather not. And it's important, like this album says, to recognize those while also recognizing, the good things we've done, and to realize that they're not mutually exclusive, and the only way we can truly move forward is by living with them side by side.
Right.
And so that's a powerful sentiment, especially in like a time of such strife.
Sure.
It's funny because they're Canadian.
It is funny because they're Canadian, which I kind of critiqued a little baby bit in the review, but I mean, I think it's a dumb reason if you're trying to really, like, disprove the argument of Palimpsest, which is like, oh, they're not Americans, how can they critique America?
Yeah, no,
it's
like, gosh, yeah, no, it's good. And I don't know, it's definitely, if you couldn't tell, I mean, I love this album. I think it just works on so many levels. I think it's super enjoyable, it's super cathartic, and it's easily my favorite record of the year.
But Sam, what about the B-sides, Gift Horse and the Dueling Cavalier? Released on Fabula and Suse It. Like a month or two after.
They're solid.
I agree they're solid, but I don't think that they even compare to most of the tracks here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, they're definitely not as gosh, I'm just finding the two. Yeah, no, I mean, I can see why they didn't include them in the album. They definitely sound like B-sides, but they're still really good. And I appreciate the decision to cut them in favor of like the better tunes and making it flow better.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, off the bat, these tracks just have so much less aggression, which I think is part of the reason why they're not on the album, because every track until Rivet is like really just punching, bashing forward until its climax or its big refrain or whatever it may be in the track. But these tracks, they're just not angry enough, which is a weird argument that I'm having for a prog band. But yeah, I agree. They're good though. They're good tracks. I really like the "Lie to Me" refrain on Gift Horse that pervades the entire thing.
No, I mean, yeah, they're both slappers. They're definitely good, and like I don't know, they're not bad. It's just I see why they didn't make the album.
Yeah. All right. Well, to wrap up, I don't know if I can really I get the sentiment of like having it be a favorite record of the year, and we've explained that it's a very good record in many aspects, but I don't think it's perfect. I think there's too much. For me, too many interludes. I think that the flow. No, not the flow. I think that overall, the quality of song is high. It dips a little in the middle and then comes back up, pretty high toward the end. But I don't see this as a perfect album. I think the wanking can get a little much on the guitars, and overall, while the rhythm section absolutely pulls it all together, I think that it's a little simple. And now, obviously, it's not easy to do what they're doing, but it just, like, the skanks only skank well enough for me for, like, a certain extent, and then they become a little tedious.
But I mean, look, I understand where you're coming from. I think, earlier you said, it's not an objectively perfect record the same way these others are, but, objectivity doesn't exist. At the end of the day, I think like putting it on like this up high shows, our personal taste more so than anything else. Because at the end of the day, even though it's the second time I've said that, we enjoy, like, I know I enjoy this record more than the others. And sure, it might not be as artistically fulfilling as the others, whatever that means, because that's a really ambiguous term that has a lot of weird connotations that don't really mean much. But I think just because it's not like focus tested to hit whatever niche appeal that we consider like a great critically acclaimed record to be, doesn't mean you should discount it. And sure, I understand, like, it's tropey. Like, the vocals aren't super, I guess, palatable in a lot of senses. The wanking's a bit much, and some of the lyrics are cringy. But at the end of the day, I really do think some of its parts is pretty great. It definitely implies a greater work, and I think the fact that it's so damn enjoyable. I've listened to this album like 25 times, and every time I have a ton of fun. I can scream along to all the lyrics. I can enjoy the theming. I can headbang to the sick grooves. I can learn the tunes on guitar. I think that really says something, and it's the same thing with like 100 Gex. Like, was 1000 Gex the best album of last year? No, but I goddamn love that album. I love every track. I love every moment. It's super breezy. It's super fun. I've listened to it a million times, and it just works. And at the end of the day, it might not be as artistically fulfilling as whatever else, but that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve a spot on our personal list, because our list shouldn't be a reflection of, like, even though it normally is, it shouldn't be a reflection of just, like, taste-made picks from the wider underground. It should be our personal favorites and what we deem to be the best. And at the end of the day, what one thinks, whatever you think to consider, your favorite is in your mind the best, even if it doesn't hold up to this abstract idea of objectivity.
So does that mean we have to make 2 separate lists because you're going to put Palimpsest at your number 1 spot for the year?
Look, I'm willing to have a democratic discussion, but I'm saying
which we will be having on the podcast, by the way, special edition where we discuss our year-end list.
Look, Adam, I know you like Pale Folklore by Taylor Swift.
It's just folklore. Sam. It's just folklore. Pale Folklore is a
Algalock album.
That's an Algalock album. I don't know. Where do you think... Alright. Entertain my curiosity for a minute. Would you put it above Virus by Haken, which we briefly mentioned earlier in our show?
I would put it above Virus.
You would put it above Virus. Well, see, here's why I have a problem with that. Like, that record is just so much better in every way, in just any objective sense of the word.
Well, objectivity doesn't exist.
Well, I know objectivity doesn't exist.
Look, that album is amazing. Virus, incredible prog record. But at the end of the day, something about Palimpsest just keeps me coming back. Keeps me bopping along to these energetic prog metalcore tunes with whiny pop punk vocals.
Man, I don't know. We're gonna have to. We'll discuss, and that'll probably be the hottest topic for contention in the entire thing. I don't know if I had to vote, I wouldn't put it anywhere near the top 10. Definitely not top 5. But well, I wouldn't. If I had it my way, it wouldn't. It's like the same
argument. Where do you think, if you had to rank 1000 Gex, where would you put it in the rankings from last year?
That's
because that album is infinitely enjoyable and achieves
that. But that album also has a lot of flaws.
Well, so I think we I don't know if I've actually said this on air before, but the way we have to judge art is not by whatever our perceived notion of the word objectivity means. We have to judge it on whether or not it achieves the goals that it sets out to meet, right? And
Fair.
Palimpsest absolutely nails all the goals it sets out to meet.
That's an interesting point. Definitely one that I have not thought about before. But, I mean, you're absolutely right. It does absolutely meet what it's trying to do. That makes things tough, though. Because, like, I mean, if we're going to judge our overall list about that, like, where does Molcat Doma go on that list? Because goddamn, those albums hit what they're supposed to do.
It's tough. Well, see, look, at the end of the day, we just can't get, like, we talked about this last week. You can't get too, like, in your head about producing this idea of, like, objectivity. You just have to cater to your tastes and whatever you enjoy the most and whatever you think is the best based on a combination of your tastes and a combination of, like, the clear, I guess, artistic merit of whatever's on display.
Sure.
And that's why, like, a lot of I mean, I hate to use Fantano as an example, but a lot of times Fantano will put albums he ranked lower, higher up in his list because he just enjoyed them more.
Right.
And so it's a combination of albums you deem to be amazing and albums you personally love. Because at the end of the day, it is our list. It's no one else's.
That is
unless we
enough.
somehow get another staff writer, but probably it's not going to happen.
Who knows? Well, with that, what's Fear Factory up to, Sam? Any news on Fear Factory and the boys?
that is a dude. This is actually a spicy news week. There was a lot of ish.
There's some good ish.
I don't actually. I actually now, for whatever reason, in my YouTube recommendations, I keep on getting Dino videos where it's like new Fear Factory riff idea.
See, it knows. Google,
and I just don't care. I just don't want to know.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Fear Factory. But there's a few good things.
We got to talk. We got ignoring good news. We got to talk about Stephen Carpenter's interview, dude.
Okay, let's talk. Let's talk.
All right. So Stephen Carpenter, right? You guys Steph Carpenter. You might know him as the longtime guitarist for Deftones, right? So he appeared on a Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli podcast to discuss his belief in certain conspiracy theories.
And he believes all of them.
Now, there's nothing wrong with believing certain conspiracy theories. Hell, I believe in a few conspiracy theories myself. They're fun. You know, escapism's cool. But Steph Carpenter, my God. This dude, this dude is a flat earther. He said, if you think... Quote, and I quote, if you think you live on a spinning flying space ball, you're in a cult. He believes that we are living in a simulation. He believes that all vaccines are hoaxes. He believes that COVID is a hoax. He believes dinosaurs didn't exist. NASA faked the moon landing. 9/11 was an inside job. Like, what the heck?
Good PR stunt.
Yeah, honestly.
Great PR stunt. I don't know, man. Like, what do you believe? Do you believe it?
Oh, well, I mean, dude, look. I'm sure Stephen Carpenter is a cool dude. Like, he's an amazing musician, but like, he's a middle-aged to like older white dude that's from middle California that smoked weed every day for his entire life.
Right.
And like, not to say this is a bad thing, but he doesn't have a college degree. He doesn't really have any like real like work experience outside of being in a band for 30 years, and that's totally cool. Right. But you know, if you're living in a certain bubble and you engage in certain activities, like Tom DeLonge is a good example. Tom DeLonge is like off his rocker with the alien shit, and I don't know, if you're from Cali, you do a lot of drugs, and you really haven't had any real work experience. Like, totally see how like someone like Stephen Carpenter could just believe all this shit.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I
oh my God, I shit myself when I saw it. I lost it. I was like, is this real?
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
What's wrong, Adam? He's just being a free thinker.
You can be a free thinker all you want, and fucking one of the guys in another one of his bands like came to his defense, which makes sense because like you're a bandmate and you kind of have to
not Chino, not Abe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a Deftones member. It was another one of the side project members who were like, I agree, and I don't know, man.
It's funny because if you want to
break out of your bubble,
yeah, literally. Well, if you read a lot of like Deftones interviews and lores, like there's been a lot of internal tension in the band over the years. Like Chino and Steph have butted heads at a lot of moments, and a lot of their works are about that. And like I can only imagine being in a band with a dude who like is unironically a flat earther and vax denier and COVID denier, for 30 years and dealing with that. Like that I feel like that's emblematic of like more personality traits.
Yeah. I agree.
BT Bam recording an album though, which is great.
BT Bam recording an album. Converge and Mutoid Man are also in the studio, or have music ready for studio. And the same thing with Mastodon. They came out a few days ago and said that they have enough for 2 albums. Mastodon does. One of them, this is quoting here. We don't know how to choose. We need an outsider to come in and trust what we say. These are the songs, but that's probably not going to happen. So it's going to be up to us to put our big boy pants on and make a decision. But there are a few different ways that we could do things. So we're just sort of debating things like, okay, so we have all these songs that kind of sound like they're all friends. They're all similar-ish, have the same vibe. More like a doomy vibe, a more doom side of Mastodon. So we like that idea. It's kind of cool. But there's also some rippers that we don't want to leave out. So
double album time.
That's coming from Brand Daler's mouth himself. So double album could be.
I'll cool. Take it. Oh yeah, dude, honestly. So actually, on Mastodon, I listened to Once More Around the Sun this week.
Not the worst.
No,
some
not even
bangers.
Not the worst. Kind of slaps. Good album.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Like the Motherlode's a banger.
Sleep in the Deep, dude. Ember City.
Sleep in the Deep. Yeah, no, there's some... Look, we don't have to talk about a album that I can't remember the name of because it's so unforgettable. Yes, The Hunter.
Well, yeah, The Hunter sucks. Black Tongue's the one good tune on that album.
Yeah. But no, I agree. I'm in favor of that. Also, Poppy Christmas EP. A very Poppy Christmas.
Good for her.
She's churning out content, dude.
Dude, human content machine. Did we talk about Doja's So performance last week?
Yeah, we did. We talked about
Gosh, they really do just
drama.
blur together.
Yeah. Dude, we can't forget about Poppy, dude, because she's going on tour with Deftones and Gojira next year. We don't know what the hell's going to happen, okay?
My God. Yeah, not going to lie, I'm excited for that show, assuming COVID.
Assuming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, BVB are back, dude.
Yeah, they're back.
Actually, I listened to the song and I was surprised. I was like, this isn't for me, but it's not horrible.
Fair enough.
In bad news, I don't know how bad this is, but Guitar Center's filed for bankruptcy.
I saw that too. Yeah, it was about time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yikes.
Guitar Center are notoriously just the worst for a number of reasons, and they just made a lot of really bad business decisions over the years. And because despite the fact that instrument purchases are up 500% or something nuts this year, they still went under. So I think that's on them. Actually, I just ordered a guitar from Guitar Center an hour ago.
Well, there you go.
So I don't know. Maybe I can go to the one in my hometown and get some sick deals. But good riddance, honestly.
Good riddance, yeah. No new System of a Down. Sad. Yeah. System of a Down basically confirmed that there is not any new music anytime soon. The singles
and then their drummer was like, "This election isn't over. Donald Trump won."
Oh God. Team Serge, dude. Team Serge.
Oh my dude, did you see that the top 40 decibel albums?
No.
Oh my God, I'll link it to you.
All right.
Yeah, Decibel released their top 40 albums of the year. No description.
Oh wow,
just the list.
Oh, true. That's true. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. We could probably do an analysis. Well, no, that's probably a December thing, but that's interesting. I'm interested. All right. Well, funnily enough, the Dark. Wait.
I don't think this list is good. I don't think this list is good at all.
Well, all right. Well, hold on though. You got some good picks here. You got the Fawn Limbs, Svalbard, Oranzi Pazuzu. Okay. Krallis, Atramentus. Okay.
Look, no, there were some good picks. Don't get me wrong, like Vile Creature, Incantation, Svid, and Imperial Triumphant.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I don't agree though.
Dude, AC/DC's better than every other album this year, totally.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
And the top 10 is just a little weird.
No, the top 10 sucks because
that Paradise Lost and that Way are not good.
Yeah, but I'd even say the Spirit of Drift isn't good either. I think it's good. The Necrot's only okay.
Yeah, and then the Napalm. I don't think Napalm Death deserves that. Yeah,
it's a good album, but it's not top 10 or top 1, I guess. I'm surprised to see Vile Creature so high, as well as Lamp
like
of
Underground Darlings.
Dude, believe me, I'm on the Vile Creature train. That keeps climbing up my list, like day after day.
Dude, tell me who I am.
Dude, it's
no.
If you haven't listened to Glory Glory Apathy Take Helm, do it before we talk about.
Dude, I'm in the same boat. I listened to it a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, I'll throw this album on, see how I'm feeling, and then I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit!
Seriously,
every track just slaps. Better. It gets better and better. Like the lyrics are great, compositions are really daring.
But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that when we make our list here on the show. So stay tuned, ladies and gents.
You're right, because honestly,
I'm not going to. That wasn't the end here, but I was trying to wait up.
Yeah, no, I mean we still got to have releases, but dude, honestly, I'm gonna be pushing for Heritage by Opeth. I think that's the best album this year.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we got to give it to him.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I saw you listening to Orchid this week.
I'm doing the Opeth grind, Sam. I'm doing it.
Good. Finally.
I'm doing it. I've done it before, but I'm going to do it again with a good mindset. And yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to deny that it's amazing, all of it, like everything. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, honestly, the only Opeth have one bad album and it's Heritage, and I hate to say that, but
yeah. No, so
dude, honestly, you gotta give. I'm a Damnation Deliverance stan, so
look, we'll get there, okay?
Blackwater Park. I learned all the songs on guitar. Super fun to play along with. Super fun.
There you go. If only I could double bass. But anyway,
what else we got coming up? Let me go on.
Dude, big week. Okay, all right. Well, Live Ginger album.
Gosh. Stop.
You have new Kill or Be Killed.
Oh no.
You have new Tombs. You have new
apparently that's good.
Ilsa. Which is Crusty Death Doom. You have Fuck the Facts, which is Quebec grindcore that's been around forever. I listen to the singles and they're really good. The Mizmor Andrew Black collaboration.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Me too. Ambient, Drone. New Dark Tranquility as well. And an AMG 4. Liminal Shrouds Through the False Narrows.
King Gizzard are dropping an album?
Are they? I knew they've been releasing singles, but I didn't know that they'd be.
I know it's
dropping an album.
Well, no,
also, the Eternal Champion album is dropping tomorrow as well.
We should honestly talk about that album.
Yeah, talk about that.
It's called KG.
Show.
It's coming out this week. New King Gizzard album.
Oh wow! Well, hey, there you go.
Hecking Liturgy.
No, I thought that was next week.
No, bro, it's this week, bro.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Friday's gonna be a good day.
Yeah, Friday's gonna be a nuts. I'm gonna have to play Path of Exile or something to consume all this music.
Yeah, no, Friday will be a good day then if fucking Origin of the Alimony.
Pillars of Autumn Beguiler split?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, wow, no, next week's looking solid, Jesus. Vinter. And there's one more I wanted to highlight. Without Mercy.
Okay. Alright. Solid week coming out.
Yeah, Jesus. We're gonna have a lot to talk about.
New Diamond Head! Bro. New
Pantera!
I wish. Honestly, I do wish. Like, I said it.
Hey, Pantera were never that good. Changed my mind.
Well, no, I agree. Yikes. But here we are at the end of our show. I don't know. We'll be back next week. Listen to us on Spotify. Wherever podcasts are. Anchor, YouTube.
iTunes.
iTunes. Do the stuff.
In conclusion, Palimpsest, best album of 2020.
Absolutely. Hey, our listener base is dropping, so you guys should listen more to our show. We're also on Podcast Addict, apparently, as I'm looking at the statistics right now.
Do you know what would help our listener base, Adam? Weekly reviews.
Hey, you know what? That might happen, because I can't talk for you, Sam, but I'm done with school after this week. So I will easily be able to crank out some reviews.
Imagine not having like a month and a half left of school.
That's cringe. I am done with school this week, so reviews are coming. And by the way, I just want to say this. I want to put this out there now. The year-end list will be on time this year. I'm putting it on.
That's a big promise, Adam.
That's a big promise, but it can happen, and it will happen. We were poor in our execution of that last year.
Hey, we got it out in time for June.
You got it out in time for June. No, that is not going to happen again. We will get it out by the end of the year. Because I'm at least somewhat solid around what I think I want on my list. I don't know about you, but it's coming.
I got some thinking. Now, next week we gotta talk about how Microphones in 2020 is actually the best album of the year.
No, no! Well, you can just give the same argument you gave Palimpsest, so...
I honestly think
what it wants
I think Microphones in 2020 deserves a spot high on the list, and I know you don't.
It's on my list. It is. It's there. I won't say where yet.
Maybe
but it's there.
Maybe better than Ulcer.
Well, hold on.
Hold the phone.
We don't know about that yet because we don't know where that's going to go on the list. So let's quit before we're ahead. Okay, quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, we got like 2 weeks to brainstorm what we should actually put on this list.
That's true. But anyway, this has been the PM Metal Guide podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I'm Sam.
I'm Adam.
Listen to us on streaming services. Tell your friends that like metal.
Yeah.